Presented by That Time I Got Reincarnated in the same world as an anime podcaster, this is Shonen Jumping the Gun, the show where we set our sights on the first chapter of a manga and decide if it's a misfire or a bullseye.
Let's see how many rounds are in this magazine.
On today's episode, is it a strike or a home run? It's Rookies. Welcome, everybody. I am your boneheaded teacher with a heart of gold, Kermit the Grog, here with my tie-tying co-host, Isekai Sensei Sama Brad.
Was it the up and then across? Wait, hold on. This one goes through here.
Brad, how many episodes have we done? We've always been wearing ties when we recorded. How do you still not know how to tie a tie? It's very unprofessional.
Normally, I have my wife do it for me.
That explains it. And joined by special guest star, bat-wielding delinquent, Maxy B.
Wallet and watch. That's what we say over here. You slags.
We're getting into the mindset. Give me all your money. No one gets
your money or your
robbed
life
in this chapter, right?
They might have been robbing him at the beginning there.
People have been robbed, but we don't see it. I'm getting ahead of myself. We are covering Rookies today. This is a completed series that ran in Shonen Jump from February 1998 to August 2003 for 24 volumes. At least that's what Wikipedia told me.
I was surprised when I went to read the first chapter and I saw 200 and whatever chapter. I was like, oh my, okay.
This is a big one. Maxy, what? I think this is the most successful baseball manga? Sports manga?
In Weekly Shonen Jump, it is up there. Over those 24 volumes, it sold 21 million. It has a live-action adaptation and a live-action film closing out that adaptation.
Live-action?
Its only real competition would be Play Ball from the 70s by Akio Chiba, the sadly deceased brother of Tetsuya Chiba, who did Ashita no Joe, Tomorrow's Joe. See, as soon as we leave Shonen Jump, I have to pause.
That's the boxer.
That's the boxing series.
Popular one.
So the brother did a baseball series.
Very old sports manga, one of the first.
So this is the most popular in Weekly Shonen Jump we could have managed, because Playball has never been scanlated, and his more popular monthly Shonen Jump series, that was the sister series to, has also never been translated. We could have gone across to Shonen Sunday, but a lot of those take like a volume to really get moving, even though they are bigger and more important. So we're in the heights of Weekly Shonen Jump baseball manga here. And one of the magazine's most successful authors.
Oh, what else has this guy done?
So this is Masanori Morita. He is the author of Rokudenashi Blues. Some may call it a Good for Nothing Blues, which sounds even cooler. That is a delinquent boxing series from the 90s, one of the series that led Shonen Jump to its absolute sales peak of 6 million copies. It was like that, Slam Dunk, Yu Yu Hakusho, and Dragon Ball, among a few others.
Oh my goodness, what a killer's row.
It is over 40 volumes. It has never had an ongoing anime. It's had some short animated films and OVAs. It's had live action adaptation as well. He's also the author of Beshiri Goroshi, which is a stand-up comedy manga from Weekly Shonen Jump that skewed a little too old and had to move to Young Jump, where it ran for years and years.
Which makes so much sense.
Live-action adaptation. This is a guy, to give you an idea of this person's appeal, I don't think the interest is for anime, because that goes younger. He's the sort of person who, Rookies, for example, did not perform that well in the magazine, but the volumes sold gangbusters, because adults love this dude's work. It is very mature. It's very Gekiga. He was an assistant on Fist of the North Star under Tetsuo Hara. So you can feel that influence in the realistic rendering style, if nothing else.
When I was reading that, I was like,
it does feel a little Senin-ish, which was I was surprised it was in Jump. This has never been Is this never been officially localized?
This has never been officially localized. One of the great crimes of the world is that Masanori Morita has 4 relatively big and important series in the canon of manga itself, industry-wide, and has never had one work licensed.
Wow.
It is actually quite obscene. And some bonus information for you. This is outside of anything to do with Rookies. He is half of a Manzai comedy duo with the author of the Jimi Hendrix ghost manga Shiori Experience, Yuko Asada. The two of them literally entered a comedy Grand Prix together. Like, this dude... Like, I don't like getting too parasocial with authors. This dude rules. As long as nothing ever turns out to be wrong with him, this is, like, the best mangaka. There's everything to love about him. And he is, of course, the king of facials.
Yeah, okay, yeah. Well, I mean, we'll talk about that later when we get to the art after the summary then. So, I guess for full transparency, just before I go into it, we did read this on the decks of manga. At least that's where I read it, because there is no official release. I gotta say before we get into it, Scanlations, good. There was a good...
Oh, is that why I had no idea what was going on? I don't speak Japanese. I can't read Japanese, so I was just like, I don't know what any of these marks mean. No, I'm kidding.
But no, I've just because on this show, a lot of the time when we've read something that never got officially sent here, that I've been like, this is not good.
Yeah,
or I've fallen off of them because the first couple chapters, somebody who felt things about it wrote it, and then they're like, I just will keep going, but I'm using Google Translate, and I have no editing ability.
We definitely, our official stance on this podcast is support the official release. If there is no official release, do your best to find the best scanlation.
Yes, please, if you're doing scanlations, please try. What am I looking at?
I don't know what we're looking at.
This is me doing the whole trendy thing of going, I buy the volumes. I have it in Japanese.
You buy the Japanese volume.
It is the easiest path to take. If you're reading it on Manga Dex, they literally link you through to Bookwalker Japan. You can buy it on Bookwalker Japan using your normal Bookwalker account. It costs pennies. Think of it as a way of paying it forward to the author if you're having to indulge in this stuff.
Maybe
it's a great way of doing it.
That is, in fact, supporting the official release.
I like
it's a good way of doing it. It's a nice, straightforward route.
Yeah.
And if you can read Japanese, all the better.
All the better for you. Send it to Ben.
One of the ways I actually learned my terrible, kindergarten level of Japanese was because of Rookies. When I was younger, I would have a pirated version of this volume that I now own. I'll cop to that. Because, torrenting was easier back then. IRC was easier. And then I'd have the scanlation in a zip file with it. So I'd be comparing and trying to work it all out. And it didn't actually help that much, but trivia about me.
It sounds cool. And with all that set up, we are now ready for my patented Kermit speedrun summary. We open at a high school baseball game. A pitch is thrown so close that it looks like it almost hits the batter. The crowd of students hurl insults as the batter settles his grip on the bat to be ready for the next one. Oh! And he's hitting the pitcher or another player with the bat. All hell breaks loose as the thuggish students rush the field into a big Donnybrook. Splash page, Chapter 1, Welcome to Paradise. We meet our suit-clad protag Sama in a late hurry as he attempts to tie his tie and is failing. He passes by some thuggish students beating someone up, but no, he can't get involved. He has no time. But I could borrow that yogurt delivery lady's bike and make it. Maybe. He rushes back to stop it, but the delinquents just kick over the bike, making a mess of the yogurt, which he attempts to clean up. They figure out he's a teacher and clear out, leaving the student they were beating up, who asks protag Sama who he is. A newly assigned teacher, burning with hope, he responds with the most wonderfully confident and smuggish face. But, oh shit, he's late, gotta get to school. We're now at the school introduction ceremony, and they're announcing the new teacher who's replacing the one who resigned yesterday, which causes a lot of scuttlebutt in the crowd. It's our protag-sama, Koichi Kawatao? This is the thing I've been reading it for ages, and I don't... Kawato? Maxy, you gotta help me. Usually Brad
I just want to keep letting you flail. This has been kind of funny.
No, this is what every episode is. Brad never helps me.
Koichi Kawato.
Koichi Kawato. And he's teaching... modern Japanese. Oh gosh, he's really nervous and awkward on the mic, and he knows it. Cut to the principal's office, and the vice principal is chewing out Koichi for being late and not wearing a tie. The vice principal lends him an extra one. The principal, on the other hand, has heard a lot about Koichi's past and handpicked him despite the incident, which Koichi is very, very headbow thankful for being hired despite that. He was picked because his strong will and that he doesn't fear the students, and that's what this school needs. At least that's what the principal says. They then discuss the baseball incident. Most of the perpetrators are in Koichi's class. 1B. Get to it. Getting back to the delinquents, they're headed to their hangout spot, the baseball club room, and find their boss busy with a lady who then skedaddles. They talk about Koichi, And if he's the teacher who got fired for beating a student to within an inch of their life. Back to Koichi touring the school with the vice principal. Students heckle him for his embarrassing performance at the introduction ceremony, and he shouts back up at them, flustering the vice principal who didn't want to hire somebody like them. He asks what an educator should be. Koichi responds, quote, "A person who never forgets the most important thing of all, the importance of having a dream and reaching for that dream." That's his conviction as an educator. He then runs into the student he saved from earlier, leaving school grounds before school is over, but he silently walks off. He's the second year on the baseball team that wanted to quit, not just baseball, but the school entirely. Koichi tries to talk to him with mentions of golden days, memory making, and sticking to it, but it doesn't work. The student says he's all talk and no knowledge. Koichi then sits cross-legged on the ground and goes, "I'm ready to listen," but that doesn't seem to work either. Cut back to the delinquents in the clubroom. There's no way that new idiot could be the violent teacher. The good times of the baseball team will keep rolling. Back with Koichi, he spots a student out of classes and happens upon the baseball clubhouse. Inside, we learn that quitting student from earlier, Kobayashi, wants to fight these delinquents at the river tonight, but the boss says, ignore it. There's no benefit in fighting them, so they won't go. It's all just smack talk and useless. Why put in all this hard work in? Koichi bursts in and demands to know who said that. A tense 2-page stare-down takes place. A fight? But no. Quote, "The sparrow never knows the ambitions of the swans." I love all the quotes this guy has. Koichi then says, ambition is how you measure a man. Do not mock people's dreams. Then he pieces out. Back in the teacher's office, Koichi continues to struggle with his tie and is yelled at to act more like a teacher. He's invited for drinks by the other teachers, but says he has somewhere important to be tonight. It's nighttime, 8 probably, as Koichi runs to the riverside site of the fight, and there's Kobayashi, bat in hand, ready to rumble. Koichi tells them they aren't coming and fighting won't help, but Kobayashi is pissed because they ruined the team and the teachers did nothing about it. Maybe he should just beat up Koichi. Koichi says give it a try if he thinks it'll solve things, and swings on the teacher, but Koichi deftly kicks the bat into the river, then talks about dreams and hope. This pisses off Kobayashi, who punches the shit out of a smiling Koichi as he talks about how teachers are there to help students. Use teachers for all their work, but it doesn't work. Finally, Koichi decks Kobayashi and freaks out. Oh no, he did it again! Oh gosh, it's happening again! Kobayashi wakes up and the two get to talking. The baseball incident had them banned for playing for 6 months. This caused all the seniors to quit, and the sophomores then had to wait for next year to actually play, and the teachers did nothing about it. Kobayashi, more than anything, wants to play baseball. Specifically, his dream is is it Koshien? Koishien?
Koshien.
Koshien. A thing that I think I remember reading in iShield 21, a series we will get to in the sports arc at a later date. But between that incident and the punks beating him up and ruining his hand, there's really no chance of it. So there's no point in staying in school. Just get a job and play corporate ball. He's quitting school to still follow his dream of playing baseball, just not in the form he wanted. A big, manly, emotional crying moment happens as it all comes flowing out. Koichi says he'll protect the baseball team, rely on him to help, and help rebuild the baseball team. This is a man's promise between two men. Then he hucks that tie into the river. Your dreams are my dreams, he says. But, aw, dang it, that was the vice principal's tie! The chapter ends as Koichi dives back into the cold river to retrieve it. I love this manga a lot. I have already, despite trying to not to, I've already read 2 volumes worth of chapters. And
2 volumes?
Literally can't stop.
Oh my god.
This is
when you told me earlier, I was like, oh, he probably learned like 5 or 6 chapters.
This is my, like, over all I have literal physical manga from the library I should be reading, and it's just like, I want to read more Rookies.
Well, I mean, it's good. I've been worried recently that you're just not going to latch on to anything again. So
Nope. That's why I'm happy to have one where it's like, this is my shit. I love all the delinquent stuff. I've wanted more delinquent manga. The faces this artist draws are the best.
Yeah.
They are so good.
So
it's the duck faces, the pouts, everything.
Yes.
It's there's literally no one else quite like Murata. Best part is those are faces he pulls. You see any photo of Masanori Morita, he'll be doing a face line and you'll be like, it's not normal.
Yeah, it's like because they have there's a weird realism to it, but then they make these big cartoony faces, but they somehow feel like they feel extra, but they feel like in the bounds of a human face, even though they
feel
aren't.
more real. It's excellent cartooning. Real high quality cartooning is making something that is realistic, but is able to still deform reality to go and be a cartoon.
Yes, I'm blown away by it.
I was very impressed by the artwork. The backgrounds especially, like, this is there's some series where you look at the backgrounds and you're like, oh, somebody just traced that. Like, they took a photo and they just traced it and put that in there because they needed a background. But this one felt to me more organic. It could be that they were still using reference photos or something, but like, it felt more like it was actually part of the art style that was going on. It translated really well for me in that way. So even though like the faces were sort of that classic manga style, but it was executed really well, and then coupled that with the backgrounds and the details of everything going on, that it was like, this is very well executed.
And the thing is, some of these backgrounds could well be like photos ran through a filter and photocopied in, especially with stuff like the riverbank. But what is an impressive way of doing it, because everything over the top of that is rendered in this incredibly detailed crosshatch style that Marita uses. It fakes it to it makes it. It makes everything look like a part of the world. Whereas now it's so easy to see people do what, like, the author of Gantz does, Hiro Oku, who will literally just go like, oh, I've just got this photo and I've just ran it through a basic Photoshop filter. So it's like, this feels old school in the sense of someone doing the work to make everything feel contiguous, like as a part of the same world.
A cohesive world. This even, like, obviously it's a throwback to when we are reading it now, but also I feel like from the time it is already because it was the late 90s, early 2000s, like, it already, looking at the art, it feels like a throwback visually, even from then.
Yeah, that's what I was saying, that like that classic manga style of like the faces that are sort of big and rounded, but this, especially this one, has a thing where it's, you can see you can see that style within it, the sort of homage to that, but it's also then making it more realistic.
Kawaii hasn't fully taken root and affected everything.
Yeah.
But to give you an idea in scope, like One Piece debuted the year before, Yu-Gi-Oh! Was the same year as this debuting. The next big sports series is going to be The Prince of Tennis, the next year. Was it the year after that? No, the next year. So, like, things are not of this style. Even the more cult sports series, you've got Whistle, the football series, starts soon after this as well, because of the 1998 World Cup. And it's a completely different world. Like, this looks like... this looks like an author who came up in the late 80s and 90s, and early 90s, which he did, and did a ridiculous amount of work in that style, and is just continuing to refine that. Which, if you've done over 40 volumes of another series, then, yeah, you're not going to think, oh, I need to modernise my style. You're going to go, people are here for me. So, yeah, it will be a retro style, even at the time.
Yeah. So, art aside, I will say, I thought this was really well executed from a story standpoint. I'm really glad that you like it.
You don't?
I don't want to say...
You're allowed to. You're allowed to.
No.
I want to play High Noon in the other direction.
You're not going to get to.
Damn it.
Because it's not that I didn't like it.
Yeah, because you can't say that. You're not allowed.
Well...
You're not programmed to.
It's just that there was nothing in here that made me go, oh, I'm really connecting to this or that or some other thing. So while I read the chapter and I was like, okay, that's interesting, and they're doing that, I like the way that they're setting up these relationships that this teacher's going to have and everything. I just didn't feel a connection to it.
Brad,
you're telling me you didn't see the frustration of someone who has dreamt and yearned for something and fallen short, sobbing and crying because he wants to dream of continuing, and you didn't think, I am all about that shit. Because like that,
Brad doesn't do the big. I say manly, but Brad doesn't do like the big emotion. Like that isn't like freaking heroin into his veins. He's got a different type of heroin that he injects.
But what I'm hearing here, Brad, is that like this manga is Bitty Schramm in a league of her own. A league of their own. And you are Tom Hanks. And you're saying there's no crying in baseball. There's no crying in baseball. That's what you're telling us, and I will not stand for it. There is crying in baseball, but there's no baseball
here
in this.
I've got a buddy who likes the same shit I do now, Brad. It's not just one. No.
Hey, cry as much as you want.
No, I can. I can. Again, the shoe's now on the other foot. I respect your position. Like, I can understand. Like, I just like this. Like, this is the we were just talking about before we were recording this episode. This is the heightened reality that I loved and why I love manga. Is like this is the world, but more so.
This is
and these big and it's positive instead of negative. It's not freaking Walter White's descent into being a crime drug lord. It's this guy, this stupid idiot who's just so like, I'm going to make this happen and I'm going to do everything in my ability to try to turn this school around. And you get to slowly see him do that chapter by chapter. And it's awesome. And it makes my brain go, yes, the world's a good place.
And I love that for you.
Yes.
I may read a couple more chapters
You don't
to
gotta.
see
I'm doing it for you.
if it'll connect to me at all. But I think this is along the line of what I've been saying to a lot of people, especially in the past couple of weeks with a bunch of stuff getting canceled, which is not everything is for everybody.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
And as we've been seeing with every time I try to show you an isekai, it's like, this is really good. It's fine if something's not for you.
Yeah.
And most of the time, that isn't my position.
Yeah, usually you have to tell me that and not for yourself. So
This is why you've seeded this over all this time. It's like finally,
I knew this was coming.
Be ready.
But that's exactly. I think as I was reading this morning, getting to the end of the chapter, I definitely had that in my mind of what I've been talking about. Not everything's for everybody, and getting to this and going, yeah, it's interesting. It's well executed, but it's not speaking to me on a level where I'm going, I must read more of this.
Have we had a manga that I guess we've had a couple other manga that I was super jazzed about, and you were like, it's good, it's fine. Like,
and that's
usually your jazz that I'm like, meh to not.
Yeah. For us to find something that I'm going to be like, this is terrible, I hate this.
I know.
You will also hate it.
That's why I got excited for a moment. We got to play. So, Maxy, if you don't know, and for people who don't know, we have a segment called High Noon where, I mean, by and large, it's supposed to be if we have, like, diametric opinions, which is usually Brad likes something and I hate it, so that I have to say one thing I think is good about it and he has to say one bad thing. And it's like the special super mega, like, platinum trophy that the roles are switched and I have to say something bad and he has to say something good, but it will probably never happen. Yeah. But that's the excitement of it.
But yeah, I mean,
I quite love the fact it doesn't resemble you in a way, because it's not everything's going to, and again, you are the isekai master. I am the baseball manga master. So this is me now from my high position of power being like, I understand you are not within my kingdom, but I respect you all the same.
There was a one time you two did a crossover, but I said we never would talk about it on this podcast ever again. I had so much hope for that dang thing. Brad, I can't tell you where it's going to go, and neither can Maxy because we both read ahead. Yeah. Where do you think it will go? And we're going to play the game that Maxy played with me. I'm about 2 volumes in, and I played the game with Maxy. When do you think, I'm going to spoil you a little bit, within 2 volumes, nobody has played baseball.
That doesn't surprise me.
When do you think they will start playing baseball?
How many volumes was it total?
24, I believe.
Okay. Volume 7.
Ooh. Went a little far. Midway through Volume 5. 43 chapters.
We've taken an hour to get to the factory in Willy Wonka. But you know what? I have adored... Like, it was more of like, oh my gosh, we haven't played baseball yet, but I don't care. I'm having a blast.
I think the best series that are about a specific thing do that. You take a really... Listen, Green's got canceled, but it shouldn't have. It was so good. First of all, that's a really good example of, it's not just that I don't like sports.
No, I know that. That is not what I thought. Though we will answer that question further as we go deeper into the sports arc.
They didn't play a game of golf, a real game of golf, until like 3 or 4 chapters from the end. And that's a perfect example of, and it was just a friendly match between friends. It wasn't a real tournament or anything like that. And so, Actually, I guess that was farther back because then Oga was in the tournament. Point being, it took a while to even get to playing a game of golf. And so when you build things up properly, when you have someone writing something and doing it in such a compelling way, which I believe you when you say that Rookies is doing that. I get it from reading the first chapter. When you have a writer, when you have someone writing something that well, it becomes so much more compelling. And you don't care that they're not doing the thing right away that it says on the cover, you know?
I agree. Vague counterpoint of the sports series we've covered with that is that Green Greens was entirely about golf, but Rookies is not entirely about baseball. And what makes it compelling is not necessarily... Because, but I mean, what made Green Greens compelling with it about being about golf was about, like, sport or talent or working at things and, like, mentalities in that. And that's what made it interesting. But it's interesting to see. I think this is in the way that I had Big Hook, Little Hook doing the Demon Slayer episode into this new clutch of Shonen Jump manga, which is now probably a month old by the time people are hearing this.
More than a month.
Maybe that's what I want to go into this and see that. Is like, is there something else cooking on the stove with these? Because it's like, we don't need to be in a rush to play the sport, but can you cook something up well enough that it's not just the sport? That also, when you get, I guess that's the thing that, like, I haven't gotten there yet. When you get to the sport, is the sport fun?
Right.
Like, that's the thing I'm really curious about now with Rookies. I mean, I'm going ahead, obviously, well past the first chapter, but it's just like, when I finally get to the baseball, will the actual active baseball be as fun and compelling as everything else? And I'm currently hoping that it will be. It was very successful. The god of baseball manga told us to read it. So that just makes me more excited.
So baseball manga does not have to be about baseball. Baseball is so tertiary to baseball manga, but it is crucial because without it, you do not have the structure necessary for people to behave the way they do. But all baseball manga is at least a bit of something else as well. At least if it's good. Mr. Full Swing says, what if baseball was a gag manga? You know, Days of Diamond says, what if baseball... It barely even... Like, everyone's playing the game, but you don't see much of the game, because it is mostly about the massive trauma of expectation on children.
I forgot about... We were supposed to cover Days of Diamond. I forgot. I think I genuinely just blacked it out in my head. It was such a bummer to read. Or not a bummer, but just such a mental health attack.
It's
another example, not baseball, but I haven't been keeping up with, but Dogs Red... Apparently, they don't actually play hockey until
no interest whatsoever.
I think we're literally in a game just now.
Yeah. It is mostly a manga about things that look a bit like dicks, which is like, great, why not? Why not have that be what the series is about? And it'll be the case for so many of these things. Like, I literally just keep rattling them off. Beikaku in Gesan is literally about, like, coaching techniques. Guruzeni is about salaries in professional baseball teams. Like,
Moneyball
has kind of, but better. Highly recommended, by the way. If it's a good baseball series, it will have something extra. Except for Ace of the Diamond, which is massively successful in Shonen magazine. It's mostly about just playing baseball. It has had multiple series. I don't like it. Because of that. It's like, I can't deny its success, but it's the exception that proves the rule, you know?
You're just playing... No, give me some drama.
I feel like we need a mid-sport series, because we're literally, like... When we did our romance arc, it was just kind of picky choosing. Like, these are popular. Oh, I want something like this. But this is going to be, like... My current plan for this is, like, a killer's row of, like, what? This... Ice Shield 21, Haikyuu, just because I got it from the library and it's more recent, Blue Lock, and freaking Slam Dunk as the pillar episode, I guess, for 50.
I was going to say, we can't just do baseball.
We're not. We can't. We can have when we do sports arc 2, we can do another. We can have Maxy be up for another base. We can do Days of Diamond.
Once we get into the hundreds, we'll have a baseball arc.
We're gonna have an entire baseball arc.
If you do sports arc 2, please understand me. I mean this with 100% sincerity. Have me on for the Prince of Tennis.
I'm glad you said that, because I thought about Prince of Tennis, because that was always one that I saw in Jump magazines when I was a kid, or in, like, the back of the book, and I, like, never read it because it just didn't look interesting to me, but it was, like, on my radar. But since, like, I want something newer. I know Blue Lock has, like, 1 billion volumes when I go to the bookstore. We'll do that.
Yeah,
I love
a
how
lot of
Maxy's
people
like,
like Blue Lock.
Maxy's going, you have to have me on for. I'm just, and we're just sitting over here going, what can we do to get Maxy on?
I know, it's like, don't threaten me with a good time, dude.
So
yeah,
I want
I like this. I'm curious to. It's interesting that we are starting with this as we delve into this now, and I think
it's a
that's
good
the
place
major,
to start.
I think it is, but I think it gives us an interesting thing of, will any of the series we read, will they play the sport in the first chapter?
I hope not.
That's why I said we need to read a bad one so we can kind of like pressurize, you know.
You said this, I Shall 21, Blue Lock, and Slam Dunk.
I feel like I missed one. Haikyuu.
Okay, so I know the answer to this question. I'm not going to tell you because you're the guys doing the show.
Wait, how do you have a question if you already know the answer?
No, I know the answer to your question. I know how many of these series have them actually playing the proper sport in the first chapter.
No, don't tell me. This is the journey.
No, so I was just satisfying myself.
Just flexing on you.
Well, I might misremember with Blue Lock because my opinions with that don't necessarily reflect the mainstream, but that's more to do with another aspect that's harder to discuss. But it's not about the series in a negative way. It's, whilst I say like all good baseball series have to be about an extra thing, the exception is like I'm not a big fan of like gambling, death games, that sort of stuff. And whilst it's not that, it is here's our serious training facility, extreme conditions, bonus things surrounding it, which just isn't my bag. But my God, is it ever fucking successful?
We've been talking about that recently.
What?
About the idea of like abusing people to make them better at things.
Have we?
Yeah, because we were talking about crap. I keep forgetting the name. The movie about the drummer with J.K. Simmons in it.
Oh yeah, you've talked about it. Yeah, we've talked about this. It's a while ago. Oh yeah, traumatizing somebody into talent.
Right, and how like I think that's dumb.
How many times? I mean, I don't think we're going to see it in chapter 1. But if we read these series, because it's like, I know there's some shit in I Shield 21 that's like real. Like if you think about an actual non like shonen-y manga anime, like we're doing crazy shit, is the most like effed up stuff to do to a bunch of high schoolers.
But that's that thing, Maxy, where it's like, yeah, like you don't have to do that. I mean, there's my basically my conclusion was there are very few places where that will work, and it's so few enough that you might as well consider it not a viable strategy.
You just make people high performance machines until they inevitably break down because you're running them at like 200% overclock at all times until all of their muscles and bones deteriorate.
Whiplash.
Yep.
Whiplash, yes. And of course, Rookies is presenting us with the opposite end of that, which says, what if you can turn people into sports players through kindness and proverbs? And the answer may surprise you.
I do love he does, I don't remember if he does more quotes in the first chapter of that one that I said, but I do love because he teaches modern Japanese that like a bunch of things he teaches or the little quotes he has, like it makes him seem smarter than he is at times, but he's surprisingly smart for being a complete idiot.
And the funniest thing is, of course, he's a modern Japanese teacher, and that's a Chinese proverb.
Oh,
it comes from Chen Sheng, a leader of the first uprising against the Qin dynasty. It would more usually be written as, how can a little songbird understand the ambitions of a grand swan? Which is a saying that people say a lot in Romance of the Three Kingdoms. Okay. So, like, it's a real wide pulp culture proverb that's, like, escaped its origins to become just, here's a thing people know.
Would you allow me a quick Western localization of that I've made up well, I haven't made it up, but I've chosen a quote. Are your arms long enough to box with God? One of my favorite wrestle quotes from all time.
No, but thank you for that, because when I read that part, I was like, okay. I mean, I get what you're saying, but that's a weird thing to say. So the context of that,
context is
he's
teaching modern literature.
Yeah.
So he's got all this like poetry and quotes from people.
Yeah.
I guess what could go is mostly we had was just when will baseball occur. So, I guess let's more accurately capture feelings. Brad, we'll start with you.
Yeah, what this is weird because like there's actually two ratings I need to give this because if I rate it objectively,
no, that's feelings have never been about objectivity,
right? But like I want to be clear.
The three of us literally know that when we did the feelings for Astro Baby.
I want to be clear.
You're
to
not going to hurt my
everyone
feelings,
and it's not about that.
Okay,
it's just about like I personally have a big thing about the separation between something being objectively good and you like liking it. And the thing is this is objectively good.
Yeah.
This is an objectively good series. I might describe it as great. For the first chapter, objectively, I think reaches that level. Personally, because it didn't have whatever thing would have been necessary to really like grab me and make me go, I have to consume more of this as soon as possible. I have to go with fine.
That's entirely acceptable. This is exciting times, people. You don't understand.
The weird thing is I don't know what it is.
That's what I have sometimes.
It's most of the time I can figure it out. Most of the time I can be like, oh, I'm not up on this because of this thing that they did or this thing that I feel like was missing. But this one is more just like, I just don't feel it.
I think it's it wasn't on camera, so it didn't really help this with this conversation, but it was our talk earlier about Oshinoko, where it's just like, there's something going on here, and I just can't figure it out, and I think it's just whatever people plug it into on this doesn't speak to me, and I think it's nice with this one, where it's just like, the thing that's not speaking to you is like loud and clear in my ears, and I'm like, yes, that's what I want, and I think that's just the thing that is supposed to, like, the thing that you're missing is that the thing that resonates with people doesn't resonate with you, which, again,
I suppose
that's fine. I have that all the time. So this continues our Dante Virgil blue Oni red Oni saga that I'm trying to paint now that I've keyed in on that. So, and with that, Maxy, what are your feelings about Rookies, this highly popular manga about baseball topic you love that you specifically suggested for us to cover for this very episode? How do you feel about it? Unbiasedly, of course.
I bet not very strong.
How to explain it? I have a list. I make many lists because that's the sort of human being I am. It is of the 200 and I think about maybe 291 at the moment weekly Shonen Jump series that I have read.
To completion?
Either to completion or close enough. I'm pretty sure they're all to completion. Don't hold me to that though in case I'm misremembering. Like, there's a lot of stuff. Rookies, of that amount, is the 23rd best. That is not just how I personally feel about it. That is what I consider to be scientifically correct.
The like, 23rd.
If I weigh up all the things that make me appreciate series both in their reputation and quality and impact, I think it is genuinely that dang good. Like, you may be thinking, what sort of things is that below? That is an inch below Ice Shield 21. That's like, we're in sports god territory, and that is itself an inch below the Prince of Tennis. We are talking like this is King's. This is like the King's Land. This is like the amazing stuff. It does have its flaws. I don't mind giving it away. The ending is kind of deflating. It just kind of finds its ending point and goes, "Look, I'm done. Sorry," and that's fine. Spoilers for the history of sports in Weekly Shonen Jump. A lot of series just wrap up by going, "Oh shit, I'm done." A lot. Some would say the greatest Weekly Shonen Jump series of all time literally just gives up. So that is nothing to be ashamed of. But I adore this. I give it all the highest ratings in the world. It's a true 5-star series. Again, I have bought it. I have been waiting day in, day out all my life for an eventual Kanzen Bun edition. So that's your hardcovers with the colour pages and everything. Oh. It's not happened yet. But I feel like they will do it in Marita's lifetime, and I will import the shit out of that. Like,
this episode is going to be the thing that makes it happen.
Start manifesting. And then localize it properly here.
Oh yeah, it should be that version of it with also an official translation.
Yeah. Like I said, admittedly, at least for the 2 volumes I've read on MangaDex, whoever the localizer or scanlator, whatever you want to call him, is doing a really good job. There's a lot of "I'll kill yous" in there, and swearing in a good way. Good spice.
It's I believe it was started in the old school days before aggregators were even a thing. So it's like It's from the dream. It's like from the frontier of scanlations.
From the times where people
doing it
really
for the love
wanted
of the
to make
game.
it happen.
Well, it's
Yeah.
literally scanned.
Yeah,
Like, you can
there
tell.
was like one chapter I read where like the scan was bad
Yeah.
and the art quality was like, oh god, what happened? It's literally a bad scan.
It's like I'm so wistful. Like scanlation, obviously, it's shit. No, none of us are proud of it, except for weird leakers and stuff. But I have such a weird, like, glamorous vision of the days of Toriyama's World, Stop Tasmo, of using IRC channels to download and stuff. Like, that was the golden era of people doing it just out of passion.
I do have to say, and this is going to be because, like, these are all series that you guys would never read. But there are still scanlation groups out there that take a lot of pride in what they're doing and do a really good job. They're using like real translators, not just like weirdos sitting in their basement. They actually pay people, professional translators.
I respect that.
To translate stuff. They do like great typesetting and everything.
I'll put this as cleanly as possible. Like, I know people who are doing the best translation work of their life on some of the most grotesque hentai you will ever read, and I absolutely adore, like, that scene in particular that still has some of the hardest workers doing it on commission and like making genuinely amazing translations of stuff that I cannot mention.
Yeah. So we would love if everything had an official translation. That would be...
Side notes, shout out to the scanlators who keep pumping the One Piece leak chapters into my veins on a weekly basis early. Yeah, I know, I deserve it. I have a problem. I have a big problem. At least I'm not...
Just wait a couple days. It's literally days.
I cannot. I need to be a part of the discourse. I have a problem.
At least you recognise it's a problem. That's...
Oh, I know I'm a degenerate. I know I'm a massive degenerate right now.
Me having any connection at all to the scan scene already makes for some awkward friendships within the industry. But it is what it is. But at least I'm not at that level.
I'll tell you what. If we can get to our $20,000 a month Patreon goal for our Mary Trump Isekai manhwa that we're gonna
write, you guys are gonna write.
If we can double that, we'll open our own publisher.
I thought you were going to say if we hit our goal, we'll have on the One Piece Shonen Jumping the Gun episode, we'll have the localizer for it.
Oh, we should do that too.
I don't know if that's a thing we can get.
But if we can
also because I don't think he localized the first chapter.
So if we get up to $40,000 a month, we'll open our own publishing house. We will officially license all those manga that don't have official releases. We'll get it done.
It's the dream. I know some people that do like the small publishing work and stuff, and they do amazing work. Some of the things they manage to get are actually ridiculous considering they're small publishers. So it's like it's a viable world as much as it is partially a goof. Who knows what the future could hold?
Shonen Jumping the Gun publishing. We read your first chapter and we decide if we want to localize.
We only publish first chapters.
That's a fun gimmick. You just put them all. You put those all in a big like magazine or like a coffee table book, and it's just like a catalog, like a sampler's plate. Okay, back on track. Maxy, I think it's pretty obvious if you would spend money to buy this. You literally said you would buy theoretical hardcover ones from Japan.
They got the digital versions already, so
exactly.
Yeah,
but I am all about both the subject matter and the author. So like I'm all in, no matter what.
Yeah.
Just go in reverse order. Yeah, I would buy it. Literally, I could not stop. I tried for a few days to not keep reading, so I'm like, I'm gonna try to be good like Brad does when he only reads the first one, and I literally just couldn't help myself and just kept going. I love the series. I'd have bought it in the heartbeat in the bookstore to keep reading it.
I would
borrow it from me.
I would buy the complete works to give you for Christmas.
Oh, buddy. I appreciate that. I've just been so overwhelmed. I'm like, I don't even know what happens next. I guess with that, I think we're at the end. So yes, thank you everybody for listening. Thank you, Maxy B. Is there anything you'd like to plug?
Yes, of course. You can find my wonderful research work within the website of shonenflop.com, where you can also go to their Patreon and give them money to go and read my wonderful research notes among other bonus features, including one starring Brad himself. Ah.
That'll be, like 3 months old? But
You can also find me on Blue Sky, where I do an album list.
Nice. I love that. I love have you guys seen the video game Thank Goodness You're Here?
Yes.
Oh, it's like an old British cartoon come to life as a video game where you literally just walk around this little guy and slap things.
It's got Matt
And
Berry in it.
What?
It's got Matt Berry in it.
Yes, that's what I was gonna say. Because you're doing like a Matt Berry voice, and like both people I've watched play it like instantly key in on like, oh, that's Matt Berry doing a voice because he only has one voice. So even when he's trying to do another one, it's very clearly Matt Berry.
It is a perfect encapsulation of the real North and what it's like. Like, there are 2 video games that do that. It's that and The Excavation of Hobbs Barrow. One is a horror, the other one is this. And they're both accurate.
The silliest little thing. So yes, thank you for being on Maxy B. And Brad, hit me with them plugs.
Well, as always, we want to thank Segoy Mart for partnering with us. Our listeners can check the link in the description or use code APR15 at checkout to get 15% off their first order. And of course, we want to hear what you think, so find us on social media, which you can find links for on our website, animepodcasterreincarnation.com. Come chat with us on Discord, or you can just leave comments on those episode posts. You can also check us out on Patreon. Our supporters get perks like getting to vote on which series we cover on heroin addiction, as well as getting bonus episodes and the high-quality stereo version of the podcast early. By the time this episode comes out, hopefully we've reached our next goal.
Hopefully you're hearing this in high quality.
Yeah, you'll hear a difference in my voice if we did, because there'll be at least one additional patron that I'm not going to be reading right now, so I'll be replacing the patron read. And so with that, we'd like to thank our patrons. First and foremost, at our noble tier, we've got our marquee, Sir Cake Dwarf. At our reincarnator tier, we've got Moon. And last but not least, at our commoner tier, we've got Rena and Kill Hour. So thank you so much to all our patrons.
Thank you to our patrons. Thank you once again for listening. Thank you, Maxy B, for both requesting and guesting on this episode. Requesting and guesting. And
it's been my pleasure.
Indeed. And Brad, I'm sick of your opinions on this manga. I'll kill you. Oh!
On today's episode, let's hit it out of the park. It's Rookies.
No, that still sounds like you're telling me what's coming up on next on Disney Family.
Bastards.
I'll kill you. Maxy B, you want to be a delinquent?
I already am. I'm a roughhouser. I'm a thug. I'm on the back streets of the city, going up to people and saying, "You better stay away, or I'll give you some." I don't know what, but I'll give it to them.
I'm crouching down in that way that punks crouch.
You gotta go.
Slow squatting.
You gotta say, "Bruv, in it."
Yeah, I'll go. Oi,
what they do, right?
Watch your mate. I've got a dark alley and a bad idea that says you should shut your mouth. That's just Fall Out Boy again. What's happening?
Okay.
What's all this misery business?
What's all this, mate? Oh, yep. Took me a second, but I got there.